Hello, welcome back to Lady Love Said Reads. My name is Jessica, and today I'm going to be sharing with you new releases in June 2025 that I have my eye on. I have a lot of noise and chaos happening here, which is pretty common at the Lovestead. The bunnies have been playing with a toy that's connected to their enclosure wall, and it makes a lot of noise because they like nose at it, so you might be hearing that in the background. Oliver and Buttershaw have been playing a lot today. You might see them do zoomies in the background. It's what happens when you have a zoo. If you are new here, I do tend to read books that fall into two categories. So on the one hand, I really like books that are cozy, light, and whimsical. On the other, I like books that are dark and twisted. So before picking up any of the books that I talk about in this video, please make sure to check your trigger warnings. I don't share triggers on my channel because I think they can be spoilery. But if you have any concerns about any of the books that I mention, I recommend using the app Storygraph to look up triggers. This is not a firm TBR or to be read. These are just books I see coming out here in June that look interesting to me, that I wanted to share in case they were also interesting to you. It's a wide range of books from fantasy to lit fic. Let's just get into it. I have a little spreadsheet in Google Sheets where I've listed all the ones I want to talk about. And then I use Goodreads for the description. So I'm kind of angled toward my computer as we go through these. On June 3rd, Notes on Infinity by Austin Taylor. This one looks a bit genre bending. It says it's a sci-fi romance lit fic. Thriller is also listed. It says Harvard students Zoe and Jack find themselves propelled into the intoxicating biotech startup world when they announce they've discovered a cure for aging. They set off on their new project in secret, finding encouraging results. They work to find an investor and form a startup. But after the money, the magazine covers, and the national news stories detailing their success, Zoe and Jack receive a startling accusation that threatens to destroy both the company they built and their partnership. It does sound a little bit all over the place, but I'm intrigued. On June 3rd, The Ghostwriter by Julie Clark. This looks like an adult thriller mystery horror. Ghostwriter Olivia Dumont has spent her entire professional life hiding the fact that she's the only child of legendary horror author Vincent Taylor, famous not only for his novels, but for being the prime suspect in the brutal slaying of his siblings. On the brink of financial ruin, Olivia reluctantly agrees to ghostwrite her father's last book, not realizing she'll be forced to reckon with the ghosts that live at the center of her family. On June 17th, Don't Open Your Eyes by Liv Constantine. Liv Constantine wrote The Last Mrs. Parrish and The Next Mrs. Parrish. I read The Last Mrs. Parrish and enjoyed it. And I've been meaning to get to The Next Mrs. Parrish, but this is her latest release. It says, in this twisted psychological thriller, a woman is tormented by nightmarish visions of her future, and then they start to come true. Yikes. This one's getting a lot of buzz. Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab, expected to come out June 10th. This looks like a historical horror queer fantasy. Is what I'm getting from this. It involves vampires. It's got multiple timelines. It looks like 1532 in Santo Domingo, 1827 in London, and 2019 in Boston. So sweeping epic fantasy that is queer and involves vampires. I think this is one that I will probably wait to see what people are saying about it before I pick it up, because being an epic, it's probably super long. Yeah, 560 pages. On June 3rd, The Listeners by Maggie Stiefvater. She's the author of the Raven Boys cycle, which is, I've talked about, I have this list of canon fantasies in my head that I need to read to call myself a true fantasy reader, and the Raven Boys is one of the YA I need to read. But The Listeners says it's a mesmerizing portrait of an irresistible heroine, an unlikely romance in a hotel, in a world in peril. So it looks like historical fantasy and magical realism. Set in January 1942, the Avalon Hotel and Spa has always offered elegant luxury in the wilds of West Virginia, its mountain Sweetwater washing away all of society's troubles. The local girl turned general manager, June Porter, has guided the Avalon skillfully through the first pangs of war. This would be World War II. The hotel's aristocratic owners have trained her well, but when the family heir makes a secret deal with the State Department to fill the hotel with captured Axis diplomats, June must persuade her staff, many of whom have sons and husbands heading to the front lines, to offer luxury to Nazis. Ugh. Ugh. Sounds tough. I wonder what the fantasy part of that is. Sabotage at Sea by Alistair Beckett King. This is book 4 in the Montgomery Bonbon middle grade mystery series. I read book 1 and loved it. I read it in May for middle grade May. And what was it called? Murder at the Museum. And it's about this young girl, I think she's 11 or 12, who loves to solve crimes, but the adults around her don't approve of a girl her age solving crimes. So she has a disguise that she wears where she dresses up as a middle-aged Frenchman named Monsieur Bonbon, and she solves crimes with that disguise, and her grandfather helps her out and is her assistant, and it was just delightful. And I want to read the next in the series. Obviously that was just book 1, so I have a lot of catching up to do before I can get to Sabotage at Sea, which is book 4, but this is just a delightful little middle grade and I recommend it. Supposedly on June 24th, supposedly we're getting Silverborn by Jessica Townsend. I'll believe it when I see it at this point, because for the past, I don't know, 3 years, every time there's been a release date for this book, they've pushed it back. So my money's on it getting pushed back again. But if it comes out the 24th, it's one I'm looking forward to. This is a middle grade fantasy, and it is book 4, I believe, book 4 in the Nevermore series. And it features Morrigan Crow, who is a cursed child, and she gets whisked away to this world called Nevermore, and it's just lovely. It's a good Harry Potter replacement, and I would say some elements of this are even better than Harry Potter. I really, really, really loved the first 3 books, but I'm honestly quite frustrated that it has taken so long for Silverborn to come out, and every release date gets pushed back. This is just ridiculous at this point. And I don't know why it's happening. I don't know who to be frustrated with, whether it's the publisher, the artist, the writer. I don't know. I don't know who to be frustrated with, but I'm frustrated. On June 3rd, What Kind of Paradise by Janelle Brown. This is an adult historical fiction mystery thriller. It says a teenage girl breaks free of her father's world of isolation in this exhilarating novel of family identity and the power we have to shape our own destinies. So growing up in an isolated cabin in Montana in the mid-1990s, Jane only knows the world that she and her father live, the wood stove that heats their home, the vegetable garden where they eke out a subsistence existence, the books of 19th century philosophy that her father gives her in lieu of going to school. Her father is elusive about their past, giving Jane little beyond the facts that they once lived in the Bay Area and that her mother died in a car accident. As Jane becomes a teenager, she starts pushing against the boundaries of her restricted world. This, to me, reminds me of Educated by Tara Westover, which is an adult memoir about growing up in a prepper family, and that writer, Tara, she was very isolated from, standard society, didn't get a normal education and all of that. This sounds like sort of a fictionalized version of that memoir. I had to pause for a second because my memory card got full and then I had an allergy attack. So my eyes are still a little bit watery and whatnot. Okay. Next up on June 17th, Someone Knows by Vi Keeland. This is an adult thriller, and it says an English professor's deadly past comes back to haunt her. in this chilling and sexy thriller. I've never read anything from Vi Keelan before. It says the college professor, Elizabeth, looks forward to the start of each new semester teaching her creative writing seminar, at least until she reads chapter 1 of The Reckoning, a tale about a high school senior who has an affair with her teacher. To anyone else, it would be the beginning of a great page-turner, but to Elizabeth, it is the beginning of the end. She knows this story. It's all familiar because she lived it. Dun dun dun. On June 24th, The Compound by Aisling Rawle. This is an adult dystopian sci-fi thriller mystery genre mashup. It says you wake up in a compound in the middle of the desert along with 9 other women. All of you are young, all beautiful, all keen to escape the grinding poverty, political unrest, and environmental catastrophe of the outside world. You realize that cameras are tracking your every move, broadcasting to millions of reality TV fans. Soon, 10 men will arrive on foot if they all survive the journey. So it sounds like reality survivor TV show in a dystopian future, which to me sounds like really interesting. On June 3rd, Sister Butcher Sister by Katie Alden. This is an adult thriller. It says the chilling prose of Karen Slaughter meets the high stakes plotting of The Butcher and the Wren in a dark debut following 3 normal sisters, their own forgotten traumas, and the serial killer that lives within one, begging the question, can you ever truly recognize the evil around you? On June 10th, We Can Never Leave by H.E. Edgman. This is a young adult fantasy horror. It says Sweet Tooth meets The Raven Boys. I've not read either of those. It says you can never go home. Every day all across the world, inhuman creatures are waking up with no memory of who they are or where they came from, and the caravan exists to help them. The traveling community is made up of these very creatures and their families who've acclimated to this new existence by finding refuge in each other. That is until the morning 5 teenage travelers wake to find their community has disappeared around them overnight. Oh, I have to read that. On June 17th, The Second Chance Convenience Store by Kim Ho-yeon, translated by Janet Hong. This is adult cozy fiction. So it says the owner of a corner store takes in an unhoused man who does a good deed, a kind soul whose presence will transform the whole neighborhood. A heartwarming tale of community and redemption, reminiscent of best-selling novels of Matt Haig and Gabrielle Zevin. This sounds right up my alley. It sounds cozy. It sounds like community-based and about community care, which are 2 things I really love. On June 3rd, The Unmapping by Denise S. Robbins. This is also a sci-fi, a dystopian sci-fi. For some reason, these sci-fi are sounding really good to me, and I'm not normally a sci-fi reader. I want to be so badly, so hopefully some of these will work for me. So The Unmapping, it says 4 a.m. New York City, a silent disaster. There's no flash of light, no crumbling, no quaking. Each person in New York wakes up on an unfamiliar block when the buildings all switch locations overnight. The power grid has snapped, thousands of residents are missing, and the Empire State Building is on Coney Island for now. The next night, it happens again. That sounds so intriguing to me. I love New York City, so that's like a buzzy buzzword if you're new to my channel. Anything set in New York City or about New York City, I love. New York City is one of my favorite places on earth, and this just sounds so interesting. Dear Future Me by Deborah O'Connor. This comes out on June 3rd. It's an adult thriller. And it says, in 2003, which is when I graduated, Mr. Donler's high school class got an assignment to write letters to their future selves. 20 years later, they received them in the mail. So my teachers did this too. And we got our letters in the mail. My letter was so silly. It was like, I won't even talk about it, but it was like, yeah, I was definitely 17 when I wrote that. Anyway, 20 years later, they received them in the mail. Upon opening them, the students are shocked to find that their envelopes contain old secrets that threaten to expose the truth about the tragic death of one of their classmates. It's giving One of Us is Lying. And when one letter leads a student, Miranda, to jump to her death, the small community is rocked to its core. Oh, I have to get to this. On June 3rd, we have Strange Houses by Uketsu, translated by Jim Rion. This is adult horror, and Japanese horror is horrifying. So this one says, a writer fascinated by the macabre is approached by an acquaintance who is considering purchasing a secondhand house in Tokyo. With its bright and spacious interior, the home seems perfect, but looking closer, the building's floor plan reveals a mysterious dead space hidden between the walls. Seeking a second opinion, the writer shares the floor plan with an architect friend, only to discover more strange spaces dotted across the house. What are these mysterious strange spaces, and why do they exist? It looks like this is book 1 in a series called Strange Houses. A Dance of Lies by Brittany Arena. This looks like an adult romantasy. It says, a debut fantasy romance filled with hope after heartache, secrets, betrayal as a dancer turned spy. Say less. Anything having to do with dance, I love. Spies, love. I'm sold. It says, Vasily Moran was once a dancer in King Ilian's court until he framed her for murder. Barely surviving her 2 years in the dungeons, she's suddenly called to face her king. He offers her a deal. Become his spy at the next 6-week royal gathering and he'll grant her freedom. That sounds so good. On June 12th, we have Reigncloud Palace by Philippa Rice. This looks like a cozy fantasy, and it says, Evney Treadle makes magical things, and for the last few years she's been selling them in magical knickknacks shop, the Magpie Nest. That sounds so sweet. But everything changes when one day Evney's crafting abilities catch the attention of nearby Reigncloud Palace. She's asked to become their resident spellsmith. The original spellsmith suddenly ill under mysterious circumstances. It sounds so cute. And like, look at that cotton candy cover. It just looks so adorable. On June 3rd, we have Chef's Secret by Kelly Yang, which is a middle grade contemporary. This is book 6 in the Front Desk series. Now, I've only read the first 2 books in the Front Desk series, but I have loved and adored both of them. So I definitely want to get caught up on this. But this is about Mia and her family. They run a hotel, motel, and they have some permanent residents there. And it's just about like their community, what they do. It's so lovely. It's heartwarming. There's usually some fairly high stakes things that happen in the storyline that address important social concepts and ideas in a middle grade appropriate way. It's just fantastic. So I definitely want to get caught up on this and get to book 6, which comes out in June. And last we have The Farmhouse by Chelsea Conrad. This is an adult thriller horror. It says, every woman who has lived on this farm has died. Emily just moved in. Oh, that sounds awesome. I love anything like farm centered and horror, and it's set in rural Nebraska, which is near where I live. She's wanting to do a fresh start by moving into this farm that was for sale. 3 years ago, a teen girl went missing from the farm. Soon afterward, the girl's mother mysteriously died, and as Emily digs deeper into the stories, she uncovers women connected to her new home who've met their own dark ends. With each passing day, Emily's sanctuary slips further away. The barn seems to move throughout her property as though chasing her. Her mother's favorite music drifts across the cornfield. She swears she saw blood in one of the farmland trucks, and screams that wake her are not fox howls, no matter how many times her husband says they are. If she wants to claim this place as her own, she'll have to find out the truth before whatever watches from the cornfield takes her to. That sounds amazing! Oh my goodness, so many of these I want to get to. So that was the last one that is on my list. What are you looking forward to in June that is a new release? Do you know of any ones you think that I might be interested in that I haven't talked about in this video? Please share them down below. Are you planning to read any of these that I talked about? If you're enjoying my content, make sure to hit the like on this video and subscribe. It helps to grow the channel and build our community. If you're feeling super at home, join the Discord and join the conversations there. Everything is linked in the description box down below, and it's all free. If you just want to leave me an emoji to let me know that you're here, go ahead and leave me. Trying to let me look at my list and see which one was most intriguing to me. Probably the unmapping. So leave me any kind of emoji that reminds you of New York City or maps. And until next time, make sure that you continue to read good books, drink good coffee, take care of yourselves and each other. Bye.